So 4.5 is on the quadratic formula, and we're going to start off with the discriminant and then next time talk about how we're going to actually use the formula. So the formula looks like this, which is kind of big and scary looking, but it actually is just calculator work. So my formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And really, you're just putting your values in from your quadratic formula or your quadratic equation from here. So when I talk about all of those letters, I'm really just talking about the numbers that are in front of the x squared, the x, and then your constant. And those are the values that you plug in. You don't plug in any variables, just numbers, and then you get out an answer. And the discriminant is just the part that's under the radical. And so that's called the discriminant. And with the discriminant, it tells you the number of solutions you have and the type of solutions you have. And so there's three options. The first option is if b squared minus 4ac, so the number under the radical is greater than 0, which means it's positive. So if you have a positive number, then you get two real solutions. If that value underneath the radical, the b squared minus 4c equals 0, then there's one real solution. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, which means it's a negative number, then you get two imaginary solutions. You have that I because you have a negative under the radical. The nice thing about the discriminant is you can tell a lot of things by the discriminant. It will tell you basically what your graph's going to look like. Does it cross your x-axis at 2 spots, 1 spot, or no spots? And all you do is you just plug it in. So when I look at this equation, the value in front of x squared is 1. So a is 1, b is negative 9 because that's the number in front of x, and c is negative 10. And then all we do is we plug that in. So our equation again is b squared minus 4ac. That's the only part that I do with discriminant. So I get negative 9 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 10. And then you just put that in your calculator. Let's see if we can move that down so you can see. So I'm just going to put that in my calculator. And so I just do parentheses, and then we're going to do negative 9. Okay, over here. All right, so then we're going to go negative 9, close our parentheses, square it, and then it's minus 4, it's always 4, times a times c. And we just plug it in and we get our answer. So our discriminant is 121. Because it's a positive number, that means you get two real solutions. And then if we do the next one, a is negative 9, b is negative 6, c is negative 1. We take the sign that's in front of each number. Again, we plug it into the same thing. It's always b squared minus 4ac. b is negative 6, a is negative 9, c is negative 1. And again, we plug it into the calculator. So I'll move it over here this time. Okay, and so we're going to go parentheses, negative 6 squared, minus 4, it's always 4, times negative 9, times negative 1. And so we get our discriminant is 0. And so if we get a 0, remember that means we have one real solution. So example 3, a is 2, b is negative 4. And notice with my c, it's not set equal to 0. So I have to move that before I can get my new c value. So my c value is 9 plus 1, which is 10. And you need to make sure that it's set equal to 0, or you're going to have to do that extra step. So we've got b squared minus 4ac. b is negative 4. 4 is always 4. A is 2. And then c is 10. Now, with this one, I'm going to do it this way, and then I'm going to show you something different. So when you put this one in, you're going to do parentheses, -4 squared minus 4 times 2 times 10. And we get a -64. So this means we have two imaginary solutions. Now, something that you can kind of look at as well is when I was looking at that first step at the beginning, when my equation was 2m squared minus 4m plus 10 equals 0, you actually could have divided everything by 2 first, and that would change your discriminant, but it won't change the sign of your discriminant. And so if this doesn't work out, then maybe just put in your other values. So like instead of -4, you would have -2, and then -4 times A times C. And so your number is going to change there, but it's still going to give you a negative number. And so just kind of be careful there. I don't know if they're going to have you divide by 2 for sure, or if they're just going to have you do it with the numbers that are there. Let's see. So what would that be? 4 minus 20. So this will be -16. So just kind of be aware that that could happen where they might say, okay, your discriminant is not -64, it's -16 because they wanted you to divide by 2 first. So, and they might just ask you, when if a problem like that, they might just ask you how many solutions you have. Are they real or imaginary? When I look at example 4, notice that it's not in the right form, so I need to add the 4 over. So then you have b squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0, and you always want to make sure you have it equal to 0 before you start. So a is 1, b is -4, c is 4, and then we plug it into that b squared minus 4ac every single time. So -4 squared minus 4, a is 1, c is 4. We plug it into the calculator. Again, the same. So we've got parentheses, -4 squared. And kind of looks like most of our examples have had b be negative. That's not always the case. B can be positive. So we multiply, we get 0 again. So if you get 0, then that means you have 1 real. And that's all we're doing for discriminant. We're going to use discriminant throughout. The discriminant helps us know what to do, but this is the main part of what we're going to do for our first day of quadratic formula. So hopefully that's good. If you have any questions, make sure you ask.